Hi there, this is Dr. Kathy Wright, and this is technical tutorial 2 for week 4, the production execution exercise. So in this video, I'm going to display a routing and the work centers. And so we're continuing on with looking at some of the master data related to production. Okay, so I'm going to start by here in the logistics area, going to production master data. We've already looked at the bill of material. We're going to look at the routings, and we're going to go to the standard routings and just display what's already here. So click on that. Let's see. The material will be our deluxe touring bike, black, and the plant, of course, is Dallas. And when you click on execute or the check, we see the various operations that are performed to complete the production and testing and packing of a bike before it moves on to the finished goods storage. So we have things like the material staging and then the actual production, attaching the seat to the frame and the handlebars, etc., doing a testing piece, disassembling in order to pack the bike, and then moving it to storage. Okay. Here in the component allocation, okay, if you click on that button, you really don't see it there, but you can see here we're taken back to the bill of materials. So this information looks familiar from the last exercise. If we had actually done component allocation, you would see those, each piece assigned to one of those operations that we just looked at in the operations screen. Okay. All right, so going back to our operations, let's look at it in a graphic format. Let's see, it's this little button right here, Operation Graphic. You can see here, again, these are the routings. So and it's a pretty straightforward process. One thing is done right after the other. There's no multiple parallel processes or anything. Again, that green box will outline what you see up here in more detail. So you can move that green box around to look at various pieces of the process. Okay, so that's there. All right, we'll go back to the overview. Under extras, we can look at scheduling. So we're going to look at the schedule. So for see, scheduling type 1, forward scheduling, where let's say we have a lot size of 10 units. Right, and we're going to look at the operation segments here. And confirm it there. All right, so here's the scheduling overview of with the start time, how long would it take to do the setup. You know, in some cases there's setup time, then there's the actual operation time and any tear down that's required at the end of the process. So you can look at the different components, the different operations in terms of the time required for each one. You can also view this as a Gantt chart, which plots items over time. Let's see, this looks a little bit different than your printout. It's just because everything's compressed over here to the side. I'm trying to see if I can, you can click on legend to get the legends up. Oh, wait a second, let me put this so you can see it. I just realized you're outside of my screen window here. I'm trying to think if I can enlarge this. No. Let's see if I go to options. Yeah. Well, but you can see how the items are plotted over time here with each of the operations. Oh, the instructions are right here. So let me bring this back up. Okay, so if I go to system menu items, so time unit, and it's right now it's on hour, let's do it by minute. There, now you can see how those various operations are tied to each other and the time overall assigned for each one. Okay. So you can quit this and go back out to the easy access menu. Okay, SAP is such a large product, and there's so many different ways of looking at information. In exercise 5, you're actually looking at something called the engineering workbench. So it's down here in the production master data. I'm going to open it up. Okay, and this is just, you can create, change, and delete both the bill of materials and routings in this tool. It also gives you the ability to create work lists and work on specific parts of a bill of materials or routing without locking the entire project. Okay, so we're going to work in the test area. So test work area. All right, and click enter. Okay, we're going to find our material here, our great material of, we'll do FERT Deluxe Star, and it's star 064, which is my number. That way I only get mine. There we go. All right, let's do the black bike. Okay, and the plant, of course, is Dallas, since that's the only place we actually do manufacturing. Okay, we're going to load the BOM and task lists. Okay, there's a headers overview. All right, let's click on the Activate Browser icon. I had a little trouble with this earlier. Let's see if it's behaving itself. It is going to ask a change number, but we're going to go ahead and leave that blank. Continue. Does ask for an application, which is that general application of PP01. And I'm going to execute. There's a clock at the bottom. All right, there's the browser. Okay, I'm going to move this over to the right. Here we go. And you can see the various objects here. Let's see if we can explode the whole thing. Whoa, it worked. Last time it didn't work. Okay. All right, so we explode the entire tree. So you can see up here at the top, we've got the various components, the various bill of materials. Here's the subcomponents for the wheel assembly, and then the various other components, and then we have the routings behind it. Okay. All right, that looks good. Okay, so we're going to double click on operation 20. And over here on the right hand side, you can see that particular operation. And so you can change some of these routing details right here and save them without disturbing other work. Okay. All right, so the engineering workbench, just a tool that is available for you to do some work, make changes kind of on the fly. Okay, I'm moving on to exercise 6, display work center. This is the last one of these exercises, I do believe. Okay, so we're back in the master data. So we've looked at bills of material, we've looked at routings a couple different ways. Now we're going to concentrate on the work centers. So these are the locations where the work is actually done. Okay, so let's see. We're going to display all of the work centers in Dallas. Let's see what we get. Fortunately, there are not that many of them. All right, so I'm going to double click on this, the assembly, and okay, on the basic data tab, you can find out, it asks you who is the person responsible for this particular work center. I'm going to leave that to you. You can go back and do an F4 there to find out the name of the person. Okay, in the default values, the control key, we're going to click on this to show you various control keys. So this is some information related to how each of these components are attached to a specific work center. Okay, let's look at the detailed information. So this is what data is required when the assembly area is in use. Okay, let's continue to go back. And finally, on the scheduling tab, we're going to click on the processing formula field. So that's down here. Okay, and select, it's hiding here, so you might have to scroll down. Click on display formula. So here is the calculation for the costs associated with that specific work center, the costs and the time. Okay, so we're going to enter, let's see, we're going to test this formula. I'm going to click on the test formula button. The operation quantity will be, we're going to make 100 of these. And the quantity type is each, so it's down here in the list. Oops. There we go. Base quantity we will leave alone, I believe. Oh no, base quantity is 1, okay. So we will leave it alone. The number of splits is 2. Setup is 7 minutes for ultimate setup, and labor is 7 minutes. And let's see, and then we'll calculate, see what our overall time is for that number. So it's calculating that the total duration will be 357 minutes. Okay, so that looks very similar to what's here in this exercise, so that looks good. It did work correctly. All right, let's end our formula test. Okay, so the calculation for how much time is required for production which is built into this work center is apparently operating correctly. Okay, so that's the end of these exercises. I have a case here for you that relates to the production costs. So we'll continue that in our next set of technical tutorials.